What's up, YouTube? This is the third reading of the pipe. There's some illustrations in this one, and I'll show it real quick on the camera. So if you're just running around and doing some things and listening, I'll say take a look, and then you could take a look. Well, you can always look at it another time. I keep forgetting I'm not reading to you personally. Okay. The clay meerschaum, the clay, porcelain, and meerschaum pipe. Up to the beginning of this century, the clay pipe was, in some form or another, in very common use. It is still fairly popular. English clay pipes are first mentioned by Paul Hetzler in 1598, when he visited the Southwark Bear Garden one autumn afternoon. At least at these spectacles and everywhere else, the English are constantly smoking tobacco, and in this manner. They have pipes on purpose made of clay, into the further end of which they put the herb so dry that it may be rubbed into powder, and putting fire to it, they draw smoke into their mouths, which they puff out again through their nostrils like funnels. Along with the plenty of phlegm and defluxation from the heat, in 1615, William Camden, in Britannia fame, said, "Some men from Wantonies, some for health's sake, with the insatiable desire and greediness, suck in the stinking smoke through the earthen pipe, which presently they blow again through their nostrils, insomuch that tobacco shops are now as ordinary as taverns and tap houses. These old pipes, many fine collections of which are still in existence, had the bowls leaning forward, and were some 5 or 6 inches in length. It was not until the 18th century that the makers began to set the bowls at right angles to the stem. There were pipe makers all over the country, each branding the pipes he made with his own trademark stamped into the wet clay. In the 18th century, the long churchwardens were introduced or invited. In France, the manufacture of clay pipes began in the northern districts of Givet. There, as in England, the material employed as white plastic clay, carefully selected, kneaded, shaped, but not washed, and placed in the oven. Suitable clay is found in many parts of most countries. The Turkish çubuk, the letter, a Turkish word meaning a wand or stick, and thence a tube, consists of a bowl of red clay, rarely of metal, with the tube or stem, çubuk, made of jasmine or cherry wood, maybe some 2 or 3 feet in length. The bowl is usually rather bell-shaped or open. The stem is terminated in an amber, bone, or tortoiseshell mouthpiece. The imma decoration of the çubuk gives free rein to the craftsman, as you can see. Take a look. But contrary to what one might expect, it is more than a purely artistic purpose, for the gaily colored cords are so tied that in an event of the various sections of the pipe coming apart, these separate pieces will not fall and be broken. The mouth of the bowl is not always funnel shaped. Sometimes it is closed with the lid of iron or other metal at the base of the bowl. There may be several openings, sometimes as many as 8, in which an additional stem can be inserted. The chibuk may therefore be considered the collective or sociable pipe. It changes its name from one country to another, but the use is the same as the calumet or pipe of peace. It is in some degree symbolic. Take a look at that pipe now, where you can see kind of all the long stem with all of the thread tied in to hold it all together. See the clawfoot, which we see in meerschaums today. Okay. The chibuk as such is smoked very little in Europe, but the essentially rational principle of its form and usage has been widely adopted elsewhere for a long time. Check this out. This one kind of looks like a bong, I guess. So there's a water level in it, and the bowl's up here, mouthpiece, and water level in there. Now we're going to get on to the gargoyle, or I'm going to call it nargile. That's this pipe. Looks kind of like a hookah, but we're going to go on to that now. The nargile belongs to the same family as the chibuk. The bowl is of terracotta. This pipe is held in high esteem among the Turks and certain other peoples of Asia. To an even greater extent than the predecessor, its construction, which is what I just showed you, offers antiseptic guarantees of the first order. It is indeed the pipe doctor's dream of when prescribing for victims of nicotinism. Some authors credit the Persians with having invented the system of the nargile. Others of equal weight attribute it to the Dutch, yet others to the English. The principle of this pipe is somewhat complicated, as can be seen by our two illustrations. Those are the ones I just showed you. The bowl, cunningly housed in a beautiful made glass holder, a supple and very long tube or stem encased in gaily colored silk, a receptacle for scented water through which the smoke has to pass before reaching the mouth. All these are details that reveal a degree of civilization that, however different it may be from our own, it is no sense less enlightened. The nargile is a work of art in itself. Like the chibuk, it forms an integral part of the Oriental interior. It would, however, be incorrect to say that these handsome utensils are restricted to the service of families smoking the harmless tobacco weed. They are used for opium and other narcotics to enumerate. take a look. Here's what we're going on to now. The Gambler. Gambier. Call it Gambier. Okay. The Gambier. This was once the best known of shapes of clay pipe. It is named after the inventor of the first maker. There are two forms of it, as illustrated above. That's the one I just showed you in page 18. Okay. And in the one or the other of these forms, it was much favored toward the end of the 19th century. Verlaine smoked the Gambler shaped with the cock's head in one of Rimbaud's poems. He devised the word as gambler. Mallarmé smoked particularly nothing else. Painters and poets have rivaled one another in seizing their clays. Belonging to the Gambier family are the little pipes. They're known as William Tells, which the French troops on maneuvers amuse themselves by setting them up outside their tents as targets for rifle practice. But like the English Aunt Sally clays, they are of inferior quality and poor imitations of crude articles in the choice of the clay pipe. Such as these, caution if not actual distrust, should be the order of the day. The genuine clay pipe is usually white, though occasional specimens are found in red clay, brown, gray, black, dull, blue, and Mojave. This makes all the more difficult to discern imitations, but with experience they can be spotted by a glance, by the touch of the lips, or by smell. Gambiers are being made with increasing rarity. They are very brittle and, in a word, uncarryable. They have largely been replaced by a Jacob, which, and that's, take a look, that's the ones we see today. I guess they call them that a Jacob, the clay pipe, the tavern pipe. We call it the clay tavern pipe, which is less breakable pipe with the cherry. That's Jacob pipe. Oh, that's the Jacob pipe. The Jacob pipe is the one with the cherry wood stem. Okay. Brittle and Cara are largely seen in plays in Jacob above, which is a less breakable pipe, cherry wood stem, but there are also imitations around considerable circumspection in a choice is necessary. Apart from Jacob, with its wooden stem, the disadvantage of clay pipes lies in the weakness of the stem, which is much more fragile than the bowl. For the latter can be reinforced at its mouth by a metal ring, iron, copper, or any metal that does not fuse readily, and it is at the same time light in weight. Some manufacturers have got over the difficulty of brittleness by producing pipes in which the lower opening houses a metal ring or is set in one holding a short ebonite mouthpiece. And here's a clay pipe that has an ebonite mouthpiece. That's interesting. As we see here, unfortunately, the pipes lose in taste when they gain in strength. For as we shall see, the stem itself, when a tobacco is burning, has a great deal to do with the smell and the taste of the pipe. In France, the Gambier has been so popular and still enjoys such high esteem among collectors that it might almost be considered the national pipe. Thus, in contrasting in every detail with the porcelain pipes of the Germans, in England, the plain clay, rather than the short cutty or the long churchwarden, retained its hold on the so-called lower classes, especially the agricultural districts until the 1914 war. A clay pipe draws slowly, contrary to what happens in a wooden pipe or wooden pipe. The blackish deposit left by tobacco when burned takes longer to form in clay, which appears to be less permeable than wood. The novice at smoking, who has tried only a briar pipe, stands a good chance of being bowled over by his first smoke with the clay. Like as not, he will throw away the pipe. With whatever else there is in him, and give up the pipe smoking in disgust. Our advice is to keep a clay handy and smoke it from time to time. Turn and turn about with the briar. But at ever decreasing intervals as it begins to get seasoned. This is the only way to acquire true enjoyment of a clay and to learn to appreciate the excellence of the material of which it is made. The taste of a clay pipe differs greatly from that of a briar. It is slightly rough and is accompanied by the healthy and fortifying smell of moist clay. The primitive enjoyment secret yielding itself with the truly miserly parsimony. It is the elusive smell of nature when a sudden downpour of rain or high wind has swept things clean. Has not nature herself ever, in winter, a charm that reveals itself only to those ready and eager to perceive it? It is easy to understand why many smokers, having tried to preserve in smoking a clay pipe, never go back to briar. After smoking a clay pipe, the portion of unused tobacco at the bottom of the bowl, called the dottle, should be of the most minute proportions. Clay seems to absorb moisture of the tobacco more readily than does wood, and by the time the burning has reached the lower part of the bowl, the tobacco is dry and burns more completely. At first, this may appear a contradiction to what we have already observed concerning the greater permeability of wood, but the fact is that the woody fiber lends itself more easily to the penetration of moisture and consequently swells under hydrocaloric action, whereas clay and certain other hard materials remain unaffected. Okay, that'll be it for today. Tomorrow we'll go on to the porcelain pipe. Later, YouTube.